Hey everybody, welcome to the Homestead. Glad you're joining us again. We are getting ready to do our tanning process for the pelts that you saw in a previous video. We're going to go ahead and get that started. We're cutting down a few trees today. We're always having to cut down trees because it's what we heat our homes with in the winter time. And so this tree and a couple of other trees, we're downing these trees. And then what I've already started to do is strip the bark off of these trees. We're going to use the bark in the tanning process because of the tannic acid that it contains, and use that to tan our pelts. And so we got a couple pelts back at the homestead that we need to tan, and so this is going to help us in that process. And so what we're doing is we're taking the bark off, and we're going to collect that in a 5-gallon bucket, and we're going to collect all this along with some leaves. Leaves are a great source of tannic acid, and we're going to use that to boil down and create a solution that we're going to use to tan our pelts. And so we've selected a few trees. Right next to this tree, I had a small maple tree that was too close by, and so what I decided to do is this is one of the trees I selected to take down in order to give those maple trees the nutrients and the roots that they have, the nutrients they needed to grow and be healthy. Because at some point in time, we're going to do a series of videos of tapping those trees and others like it and making maple syrup. But that's another video. Right now, we're going to finish collecting the bark off of this tree and collecting some leaves so that we can use these to start our tanning process. So stick with us. Just to give you an idea of what we're going for here, you can see that there's different color variations in the bark that I'm taking off. You have the outer bark, and then you have this yellow orangish layer here next that's behind that, and that is what holds the majority of the tannic acid. The white wood that you see here is actually the wood of the tree, and that doesn't really contain a lot of the tannic acid that you're going for. The highest concentration of the tannic acid you need is what you see here in the yellow and the orange part of the tree. That's what you're going for. And yeah, the bark too is fine, the outer bark is okay, but that really is what you're going for. So I'm trying to just scrape this off here and get as much of that off as possible without going too deep into the tree, because it just doesn't really help me a lot if I do. Okay, so we got our bark, we got our bucket full of bark, and we're going to go ahead and collect some leaves, and we're going to mulch those with a lawnmower so that we can, break them down a little bit. And then we're going to use those and this bark to create our tannic tea, or our bark tanning tea solution that we're going to use to tan our pelts with. So let's go get some leaves. So what I just did is I got 2 bags full of leaves on the lawnmower, on our mulcher, and then I piled them up here. What I'm going to do again is run them over again, collect 1 bag, and take that bag that's been mulched now twice and use that for my tannin tea. Alright, so there we go. I got a bag full of twice mulched leaves, and that's what we're going to use. Okay, welcome back. So what we're doing right now is we're taking all the bark that we've harvested and we're shredding it down into smaller pieces. And this is going to allow the tannin to be extracted a lot easier when placed in boiling water. And so we're going through here shredding all this bark, and then we're going to put it back into the pots that we're going to boil over the fire that you see behind me and get this process underway. Okay, so what we've got here going on now is that we have both of these 2 pots are boiling, and they've been boiling now for about an hour, and what they contain is this shredded oak bark and some leaves, and it's looking really dark and really good. It smells, I don't know, it smells almost sweet. It smells like this sweet bark smell. I don't know, but it's just a smell I've never really smelled before. I've never boiled bark before, but it's got kind of a sweet odor to it. And it's been boiling now for about an hour, and we're going to go ahead and pour these off. This is going to be our first batch. We're going to do 3 batches. And so I'm going to pour this batch off, and then I'm going to put in more water with the same bark, maybe add a little bit more bark to this, and then some more, maybe a little more leaves to it, and then continue to boil that for another hour. And then we're going to do a 3rd batch. We're going to do the same process all over again. And we're going to save each batch separately and use those batches for a continual process of tanning the pelts that we have. Okay folks, we have all of our tanning solution that is complete now, and we are ready to go ahead and start the tanning process, which we've already done. Inside of this tub I have 1 beaver, 1 sheep, and 1 deer. That almost kind of sounds like a George Thorogood song, but anyway, 1 beaver, 1 sheep, and 1 deer inside of this tanning solution in this tub here. And this is going to sit, I just put this in here, this is going to sit for about 2 days. And then I'm going to add in my second batch. That's this bucket right here. This was the second most potent batch that we pulled off of the bark tanning. And this is going to go into the tub after about 2 days. I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to agitate it in about an hour. I'm going to pull all of the sheepskins out in about an hour after the first hour of sitting in here. And I'm going to move them around and agitate it so that we get complete coverage over all of the pelts. And then I'm going to let it sit for another hour. And then after that hour, I'm going to pull them out again and then readjust them again. And I'm going to do that about 3 times during the day. And then I'm going to let this sit for 2 full days before I add my second batch. And then that batch is going to sit, these pelts are going to sit with this batch and in this tub for about a week to 10 days. And I'll look at the coverage and see how well that the tannic acid is permeating the skins after about 7 days. And then after that, I'm going to take I'm going to empty out some of the solution, and then I'm going to add, after about a week to 10 days, my 3rd batch. And that's the most potent batch that I have. This was the first pour off of the bark tanning solution that I made. So I let this boil, the brand new bark, I let it boil for about a little over an hour, and then I poured off, and that's the most potent tanning solution that I have. And so after about 10 days, I'll pour that in, and then I'll let that sit for about another week or 2. Maybe, I'll just depend. I'll check on it often and see how it's doing and see how well it's permeating and penetrating the flesh of the hides. And so after about an hour, I just got these pelts in this tub, and this is my 3rd batch, my 3rd runoff of the tanning solution. I'm going to let it sit for an hour. I'm going to pull them all out and re-put them in. And right now I have this brick, and there's 2 other small bricks inside here. You can see, I'll just, I don't know if I can pull them up or not, but see, you can see the brick there. And so I've got 2 bricks on top of there, and so it's keeping everything submerged. And in an hour, I'm going to pull them all out, readjust them, put them back, and put the bricks back on top again. And so we're going to let this sit for, like I said, about 3 weeks, a month or so with turning out these things, just depending on how it goes. But this is going to sit for 2 days, and then I'm going to add my second batch, and then after a week or so, maybe 10 days, I'm going to add my 3rd batch. Pretty simple, not that hard, real easy to do. And then we're going to go ahead, after we've got that process completely done, we're going to come back to you and complete the series with part number 3 of how to tan and process your animal hides. I hope you enjoyed the video so far. Make sure you stay tuned for the next update. See you next time on the Homestead. If you enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button below the video. It really makes creating these videos worthwhile. If you want to make sure to never miss a new video, be sure to click the subscribe button. Now you can get your homesteading questions answered. Visit us at our contact page on anamericanhomestead.com and send us your questions. Maybe we'll pick your question for a future video or article on our website.